wow, the show is getting so good. I mean, it's must watch TV right now. Everybody's talking about it. So let's talk about your new character, Agent Russell Tavaroff. In this series, how did the role come to you? You did an audition, they approached you. How did that go?
I did. I did an audition, actually. You know what would be interesting is I should ask if that's something I could share at some point. That would be kind of fun.
Yeah, that would be fantastic.
I think it would be kind of neat to play that beside some of the clips, because I mean, some of the scenes were very similar to what I filmed already.
Right.
Little nuances here and there and changes, of course, in dialogue. But I think it'd be pretty cool. Anyway, yes, I did audition just like most actors. I'm still working on my 20-year overnight success, so I'm waiting to get to that point where I'm like, at the Leonardo DiCaprio stage.
Right.
God willing, if I can get there, where it's like, hey, here's some of the best scripts in the world. You want to go through them and pick one?
Right. You're like, eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
Yeah,
What do I want to do this month?
Totally. My kids have all kinds of rhymes, so I could get them to do some of those rhymes, like, get you take it by the toe. Like, okay, we're doing that one.
So when you read for the role, were you familiar with the role and kind of the history in the comic books?
I wasn't, no. Sometimes I'll do research and I will look into it, but did I even have the full name of the character at that point? Either way, sometimes I purposely don't Google things, or I won't look it up, because for me, sometimes my preparation, I find, often is better when I just take the script and I only work with what I have. I don't try to extrapolate and see what the internet says. Or, I mean, it'd be totally different if it was like, hey, you're going to be playing Albert Einstein. Well, I'll probably go and research Albert Einstein in a different way now. However, for Agent Russell Tavaroff, I was kind of like, okay, this is what I have. Just work with what I have. Because if I'm going to be the one that they want to hire, then I would love for them to see that in what I bring to the table, and not try to kind of cloud it with what I might find on the internet, right? Because now that I booked it, 100%, I've Googled, I've been reading fan blogs, and I'm in there and I'm trying to read, like, okay, maybe that's something I could bring to the table and think about, or, now I get to sort of play that way. But coming out of the gate, I had no idea. I was just like, okay, here's the breakdown. Here's the audition sides. Go.
So what was your first impressions of him when you got the script and you were kind of preparing for your audition? What were your first impressions of him? And how's that kind of built a foundation for how you go into the role every time when you get on set? Or has that changed a little bit since you've kind of gotten into his shoes?
I think it changes a little bit, but I also need to always remember what the base is, right? Like there's always a foundation, I think, of kind of who a person is. And yes, people can change, but there's always aspects of them that must be dragged through that change. And so I think for me, right out of the gate, I was reading about Tavaroff, and it was like, well, he's married to his job. Okay, what does that mean? He's obviously very focused on his work. He's driven. Does he play by the rules? Is he a rule keeper, or is he a rule maker? I had to figure that out, right? He's obviously shows respect when it is needed to those who need it, when he sees fit. But yet at the same time, he definitely comes across like a bit of a rebel. So I really enjoyed that, because I was like, okay, this guy has some attitude. Like, he's not just your like, oh, yes, sir. Okay, sir. Yes, ma'am. I'll just do everything you say. He was very much like, questioning. He just sort of sits back and observes, and then he makes a decision. And I don't think you can change his mind very easily.
There is some subtleties into your performance, kind of like the way when you gave a look to Sophie in Kane's office. It seemed to point towards the direction of your character, where he's going, where he's heading. Were those moments or those little hints scripted? Were they in there? Or was it something that you kind of did on your own and with the idea of where you're headed, where the character is headed, or could be headed, I guess I should say.
Mm-hmm. Well, thankfully, there's always room for me to bring something to the table, which I really appreciate about the directors and the producers and Caroline, the showrunner. And I definitely feel that there's an atmosphere of it's okay to show up and bring what you have prepared to the table. And of course, some of that changes. Sometimes, a director will have a note, or they'll go,
sure,
let's tone that down, or you know what, let's do more of that. Let's pick that up. And so I really appreciate that that atmosphere that's being created. There's definitely a discovery along the way. I mean, because sometimes I won't discover till I'm standing on the floor and this character presents something in a way that I didn't expect from them either. And I go, oh,
right.
okay, interesting. You know what? I'm going to roll with that because I like what you're doing. And now I think Tavaroff is going to respond this way. So, I love that you noticed that little look, because I've been really trying to come into all of my scenes and go, what's something I can do that's not scripted that makes sense for this character that I can bring to life? Because yes, everything's verbatim. I mean, I don't think I've ever said anything that wasn't in the script. If you go off, the script coordinator's like, excuse me, nope, you missed the word or you got to get it right. So that's all verbatim. But what's fantastic is those little physical nuances that maybe you can bring, or a look, or even a sound, right? I mean, I think I've been working on some things with Tavaroff that, and again, it depends on the edit, it depends how they put it all together, but I definitely challenge and encourage the viewers to keep an eye out for things that Tavaroff does that maybe is a hint of what's going on beneath the surface.
Well, we have to eventually get to the topic of Snakebite. The fans, there's chitter chatter, whisper about your character, especially when it was announced that you were going to be on the show. So with Snakebite already on the scene, and Luke Fox, he's kind of proven himself as a capable defender of Gotham. Is your arrival another clue that the fans might be getting possibly a Batwing menace kind of thing? I mean, they really are, they're chattering. They want to see where this is going to go. So is it possible with the Snakebite on the scene, is there more clues coming that maybe they're going to get that menace Batwing story? Possibly.
I mean, I'm kind of in the same boat where I've been reading like the actual physical comics, going like, oh man, yeah, like can I want to do that.
Well, you do stunts, right? So I mean, that might be right up your alley.
You totally, but I don't make those decisions, but I am totally geeking out a bit, kind of like maybe others, where I'm going, okay, wow, menace, and then what's going on here, and who's, and I would love to be those things. I don't get to make those choices. However, I am excited for this upcoming weekend, because I think there's going to be a little bit more, some clues coming out. You are right, Snakebite's already on the scene. There's some gnarly things happening, and people finding different uses for it. And so I definitely can see the show, wanting to answer questions that they're bringing up. And we will keep watching. We will get to see how this is going to play out. And I'm excited to see where it's going, because I don't know where it's going all the time. And
that's so exciting.
I'm going along for the ride too, which is kind of fun. I mean, sometimes it's nice to not know exactly where you're going to end up. You know what I mean? Like, isn't that kind of like the way life is? Like, if you told me 10 years ago that I would be in a certain spot, who knows? Then I might be trying so hard to live up to that, or I'm going to think that I failed already, or maybe there's all these what ifs that could arise.
Yeah, sure.
And so I'm definitely in a slow moving holding pattern of also discovering, along with the viewers, where is Agent Tavaroff going?
Yeah. and what challenges is he going to face? Are you looking forward to that? I mean, without spoiling anything, what would you say you're most looking forward to for the rest of the season with your character? It's tough when you can't spoil anything, but
As soon as you say can't spoil it, it's like, so next question.
I know.
I'm just kidding. I think development. I think the coolest thing for me when I watch a show anyway, right, is to be able to watch that character discover for themselves as well. It's not something that's told to me like through dialogue. You know, sometimes shows can feel. I've found a couple shows that I've checked out lately. I won't name them, but I feel like as a viewer audience, I'm going, man, you're just kind of hitting me with exposition, and
right, telling me what's
and I'm bored. Next show, you know what I mean? I want a show where I'm like, oh, like I don't really know where you're going, but I think I know where you're going, and it's like it's a fine line, right, of letting people feel that they're in on it, but don't give them the whole story yet. And so I've been enjoying that with Batwoman because I think that's where my character is going and what's happening, and I'm always like, as soon as I get a new script, it's always like, ding, my email opens. I'm like, what's up? What? I'm like, what's happening? What happened? And so it's just exciting. And I'm so thankful that I get to be a part of it. And I'm just going one day at a time.
Well, we've seen you in the Arrowverse before, and it seems like maybe these superhero kind of things are your niche. What do you think the draw is with the fans? Because these shows and these kinds of films are very, very popular. The genre is very popular. Is it the interactive part where the fans kind of have an idea about the universe and they would like to see it, come to fruition? Or what is it about that just draws the characters in because they are so passionate?
That's a good question, right? It's like, how do you get into the minds of thousands and thousands of people and figure it out? I mean, I don't know if that's possible, but I mean, there's definitely trends I think that you can see or gather, and I'm not always privy to that. I think there's a part of me too that is I'm just working, and I'm just focusing on doing my best work, in the frame, and then there's opportunity where I might get to see some of the fans' reactions or responses, and it's kind of fun to read and hear those. So I always love when people reach out to me, whether it's on Instagram or some social media platform, and get a message through, and I'll do my best to respond if it's a good message, that I can respond back to. But I mean, I'd like to say that, the superhero stuff has kind of been doing really well for a while. There's something about maybe the struggle of humans being put in a position where they want to try to help or save others, and maybe they don't have some crazy superpower, or what if they did, or is it a suit that gives you power? Do you have because there's all kinds of movies and TV shows going on right now, right? I mean, it just a huge amount of them. I think action is fun. I think comedy is always fun. I think people need to laugh more. So it'd be nice to get comedy in your life, right? I mean, Agent Tavarov's not necessarily a comedic-ish type guy, but there is moments that I've been looking for, even a version of humor that he would have. That I think there's some stuff coming where you're gonna be like, oh, and who knows, people might not even like my character for it because he finds it fun or interesting. Maybe the viewer doesn't. I don't know. We'll see.
I feel like it's a little bit of an age-old battle of good versus evil, and a little bit of hope thrown in. I mean, I think we all want to have these extraordinary abilities to maybe. Oh, I think I lost you, Jesse.
Sorry,
there you go. I think we all have these. I am here. I just have these extraordinary. Are you there?
I am here. I have to end. I have to end another app for a second.
Sure.
It's causing troubles. But I am here.
Okay. So I think that that good versus evil, that need to feel empowered in our own lives could possibly be the draw to that. When the fans reach out to you, what's been their overwhelming response?
I think, to be honest, most of it has just been, it's good to see you. You know what I mean? It's been a lot of my followers, I think, are sometimes taken on a journey that they're not used to as well, because I'll have people that really love maybe a Christmas movie that I did years ago, and they watch it every year, or they saw me in this, romantic comedy, or they remember me from a TV show that I did years ago. And so I'm starting to see this history of people just going, oh, we just love to see you, and it's so much fun to tune into whatever you're doing, and we want to check into your social media along the way to see if we can get any more behind the scenes about it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And especially during this time, I think people just they kind of want to connect with something that maybe they kind of know. Like, and I mean, I have so many followers that like I don't really know, right? I mean,
of course,
it's a social media sort of distance and disconnect, and yet there's kind of a connect there. I mean, I do my best to connect with people, and I've had a number of lovely messages from people, saying, "Oh, congratulations on Batwoman, and we're watching, and it's so good to see you, and we can't wait to see what happens next."
And I think that's the genius
thankful.
of acting, right? I mean, you connect with the fans and they follow you anywhere.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, once you connect with them, once they find something in you as an actor, whether it's what role you did, the Christmas movie, they're going to keep continuing to follow your career. If you could say something to them, all of them, in one kind of statement, what would you say?
Oh, wow. I have to start with thank you. Because for someone to take time out of their day to watch anything I've been in, or to even send a message, it takes time, right? I mean, maybe they're taking time out of their work schedule, or they're trying to feed their kids dinner that night, or who knows what's happening in their world, right? Or maybe they're going through something that's really heavy, or maybe they're having a fantastic day. Either way, people are taking time to write a message. Some are in emoji form, some are one sentence, some I get a massive, breakdown, and it can be it's humbling, to be like, wow, like someone wants to reach out and say hi, and I've never met them. And so I do my best to give some time back, and at the same time hope that everybody would also understand that we got to have grace for each other, because the social media, sometimes I completely check out.
Yeah, sure.
And I'm just living life, you know what I mean? Like I'm working on what's right in front of me, let alone the digital world, which can be so massive. But yeah, thank you. I'm very thankful for people, and even if I've never met you, I like to say quite often on social media, hashtag see you out there, or something to that effect, because I think the world can be kind of small sometimes, and you never know who you're going to run into, or I just like the idea that I have had moments in my life where someone's come up and been like, wow, I saw you in this show, and they remember it. And quite often fans will remember more than me, right? They'll know they'll know the character name and the episode number and who directed it. And I'm like, was it? You sure? Oh yeah.
Yes.
Like, hold on, I got to look it up. Oh, you're right. You're right. 100% right.
So what are you working on next? Obviously, you're getting through the second season of Batwoman. Do you have any other projects in the works that the fans can keep their eye out for?
There's some irons in the fire, but nothing has been signed on the line, quote unquote. But there's been some availability checks, and there's some potential of projects. There's a potential period piece that may be interested. There's been some talks, and I've been physically training as though the role's mine anyway. It may not be, but I think it's best to be prepared, just in case.
Well, I can't wait to see what it is, and I'm really looking forward to this weekend's episode of Batwoman. Last week was great. The week before, it seems like it's just hitting its stride, and it's just getting better and better and better. When it first started, I saw people going, "Oh, how's this going to work out with a new lead? I don't know." And now every week the fandom is growing. They're behind it. They love it. I think you guys are doing a fantastic job with kind of a difficult start, and it's really hitting its stride. I'm really looking forward to where this goes for the rest of the season.
Yeah, there's so many talented people on every aspect of the show. People are always saying like, "Oh, you you look good on camera, or your clothes look great, and I'm always like, it's not even my fault. Like, I can't even take any credit for that. That, you know, this team did that, and that team did this, and this team's doing that. And, you know, so maybe the acting I can kind of take some credit for. Maybe
that's on you. That's on you. That's
but
on
only
you.
a percentage. I just want to show up and honor all those people who have brought their A game, right? So I want to bring my A game as well, and just do the best that I can, so that everyone else is honored through that, because there's so many people doing cool things on there. I mean, the show looks fantastic, and everyone's
really
always putting their best foot forward, I believe. And I see everybody just hustling out there, right? I mean, the crew's like just going like crazy, and they're all working so hard. And so I'm very thankful for everybody who's behind this, because of what they do, it allows me to go and do what I do.
Right.
And super thankful for that.